You're watching the Hampton Classic Horse Show on VVH-TV, Hamptons Television.
First of all, at the far right, one of the most respected horse designers in the world, continued a long-standing Hampton Classic tradition of having world-class horse designers, the individual silver medalist at the Montreal Olympic Games from Canada, Michelle Vaillancourt. To my immediate right, today's third place finisher, bronze medalist at the 2014 FEI World Equestrian Games, silver medalist at the 2016 Olympic Games from the United States, Lucy Davis. Next to Michelle, today's second place finisher, someone who has dominated here at the Hampton Classic very much this week and over the last several years. He will be riding for Ireland in the World Equestrian Games in a couple weeks. The winner of the Longines Rider Challenge for the second time from Ireland, Shane Sweetnam. And next to Lucy and Shane, someone who has done virtually everything in our sport. He will be riding in the World Equestrian Games in 2 weeks for the United States. He has ridden in 4 Olympic Games with 2 gold medals and a silver medal. He was the Longines FEI World Cup champion in 2017, and he is now, for a record 7th time, the champion of the $300,000 Hampton Classic Grand Prix, returning the title to the United States, McLain Ward. So McLain, if you would pick up that mic that you have right there. I asked you about it briefly down on the field, but that turn really was, we thought, spectacular. I guess you were laying down either I'm going to win or I'm not. We've never known you to play for second. Did you feel confident that you'd be able to pull it off?
You know, I had Shane coming behind me, who's already a very fast rider, and he's really been on great form this whole week. So I knew he was gonna be a threat. And Gigi's a great developing young horse, but not so much experience and loses a little time in the air. But she's very brave, so I thought I could maybe risk it back on that vertical a bit. And it's one of those things, if it shows up, you're a hero, and every once in a while it doesn't show up, and the result is different, but it worked out today.
And Shane, I don't know if you had a chance to see that turn. I know we have the screen in the schooling ring. Did you see it, and what did you think?
Yeah, I saw it. He stumbled, and it worked out for him. It gave him the gap that he wanted. And, no, but he took the chance, and like you said, sometimes it works for you, and when it does, that's the difference. So.
And you've been second in this before. You've won virtually every class we have here, except this one. I hate to ask this question. I mean, can you look back at the week as a whole and feel, really gratified, or?
No, you have to, with the sport, you have to. I've had a brilliant week. The horses are jumping brilliant. McLain was hungry and won it today, but I was thereabouts, and if you're always knocking at the door, you're going to get through the door at some point. So I'm very happy with the week, and the horses are good.
Super. And Lucy, your horse is a young one, and was this a step up, or did you feel he was ready? And obviously you're happy with the performance.
I'm so happy. I'm so pleased with the horse. I've been working with him since he was 7, and I always thought he was going to be very special, and just started moving him up to this level, and he's proving to be even more special than I thought. So I'm so proud of him, and I'm really excited for the future.
Super. Michelle, just before we get to you, I want to take one moment to point out that while you're not holding one, the other 3 riders have these beautiful Longines watches, and I see Pascal Savoy of Longines. I think Jennifer is still here. Jennifer Dill is from Longines, and really Longines has made this horse show so special since this is now 6 years of involvement. The riders I know just love getting these watches. Shane, I don't know what you're going to do with all that you've collected over the last few days, But I'd like to thank Pascal and Jennifer and Longines for everything that you do for this horse show, for show jumping worldwide. You've really been a boost to our sport, and we thank you so much. So Michelle, early on, it seemed that triple over there was really posing an awful lot of troubles. Was that something you anticipated? The striding seemed a challenge. I don't know if you felt also being next to the tents with all the commotion in there. Did that kind of go as expected?
It actually did for the top horses. Maybe not so well for the weaker ones at the beginning of the class, since that class people qualify to get in and would go in reverse order, so the top horses were coming at the end of the class. And it may have rode a little bit shorter than I expected, to be honest with you. I know it was going to be difficult. I did not want to use two spread in a combination this particular weekend, because as we know, we've had a few little issues with the grass, you know, giving up at times. So I was a little bit aware of making a combination that was going to be delicate versus being very scopy. And that was my aim for the day, is to make sure that everybody had a sound trip, that everybody came through all right. And that's always our goal, you know, as course designers. Not only do we try to set a track that is pleasing to watch from the spectator's point of view, aesthetically well built, and challenging enough for the riders with the heights and the distances and the technicality of the course. But at the end of the day, you know, our biggest responsibility as course designer, and I take it upon myself to do that, is we want to ensure the safety of the horses. And it was my main goal for the entire week, is to do that, and I think that we accomplished that. And obviously the riders that made the jump off today were very worthy of it. It's a prestigious event. It is a 4-star competition. I was not going to let them get away with something too easy.
Well, it shouldn't be too easy. This is the Hampton Classic, $300,000 at stake, Longines FEI World Rider ranking points at stake, and I'm sure these three riders right now would commend you for your class.
Thank you.
Questions now, please. Michelle can bring you the microphone. Okay, Laura, we'll start with you.
You have a lot of really strong mares. How is Gigi different from the rest of them, and how has your journey been? But also, like, what do you expect from her in the future?
Yeah, we acquired her end of last summer, so we've had her just over a year now. She's a little younger than my other group of mares. She's also bred in South America, so she's bred in the fall, so she's kind of on the half year. She's a spectacular jumper, beautiful style, but you know, it's been a little slow in developing because she was greener than I had anticipated when I first got her. But she's had some nice performances and a little bit, what I'd say, a fourfallitis through the season. She's gone really well, one down, which I put to her greenness. And but lately she's really been starting to put it together. She actually won a nice smaller Grand Prix in Lake Placid when Michelle was building, and now again. So I think she's turning the corner, and she has a lot of talent, so we have high hopes for her.
Next. Okay, Michelle.
McLain, do you feel, my heart sort of stopped at one point going from the Jaguar to the last jump. You never one to let up, but it kind of felt like there was just one stride there where if you took your foot off the gas, you just didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up being a bit steady, that line in 7, but you know, that's one of those lines that we actually, Shane said, well, maybe there was a 6 to the last, but it's one of those lines that the 7 seems steady, but the 6 becomes kamikaze. And you also don't know how you're going to get the jump off that full rollback. For me, it ended up, actually, Shane's absolutely right, she slipped a little bit and actually made it perfect. I could push at it, which happens a lot on a rollback. But I knew I had done a lot and to take a bit off the gas pedal.
Can I ask a second question? Shane.
Hold it up.
The bucking. Do you feel that it impacted your...
No, but I've had him since he was 7, and he doesn't, like in the first run he didn't buck, and all year he's getting smoother and smoother. We haven't really gone that fast in a long while, So now I have to tweak things, but actually, if you watch the strides, it doesn't change the strides, it's still the momentum. So I'm used to it, and it doesn't really affect the timing either, so it is what it is.
Next place. Well, McLain, I know you're a real student of the history of this sport. You know it very, very well. Do you ever stop and think of this event, which we all feel is the biggest of the year in this country? In perspective, you've now won it more than twice as much as anyone else. Second most is 3. You're at 7. You've one stretch you did 3 in a row. Do you ever stop and think of your place in history?
Not really. I think about the few times I've been second. But you know, I think that's something you look back on in the end when it's said, and you maybe reflect on your career. And I think in the middle of it, I try not to. I appreciate the wins, and I appreciate the horses, and I appreciate the good parts. But I try not to focus on that too much. I try to focus on the goals ahead.
So you'll leave that to us.
That's for someone else to write.
Any class questions before? Okay, Nancy.
Lucy, as a Californian, have you ever been to the Hampton Classic before and competed?
I have. I think it was 6 years ago now, with a horse I had called Nemo. Came over for a couple shows in the summer and got to compete here in the Grand Prix. And unfortunately, hadn't been back since, but I'm very excited.
But now that you're based in the East, riding out of Old Salem Farm, would you see the Hampton Classic as part of your annual schedule?
Oh, definitely. We have a lot of family and friends that came out, and it's one of the few events of the year that I can really share with them. So it'll for sure be on my calendar next year.
And if I'm not mistaken, Lindsay rides with you. And her first time ever at the Hampton Classic to get into the jump off. Tell us a little bit about her as a rider and what it means to you to have her be in that jump off here today.
Yeah, I've known Lindsay for a while. She's also from California. She has a wonderful mare that she knows very well, and they're a good team, and they've been working since Florida. She told me when she started working with me that this was her goal to jump the Grand Prix here, and she worked very, very hard, so I'm extremely proud of her.
Well, she told me after the class it was the happiest day of her life.
Mine too.
This is a question from McLain. I just want to tell you, a year ago, right in this room, I asked you what you did to inspire young people, and you handed my daughter your hat. And a year later, she's now started to compete, and she's won champion at her first 2 competitions. And I wanted to know, yeah, it's amazing, right?
And wearing the hat.
And wearing the hat that you gave her. What can you add to that a year later? Because you keep winning, you keep inspiring people, and is there anything that you can say that would give hope to?
Well, I'm touched to hear that story. Good luck with your riding career. You know, that for all of us, this is a journey. You know, we're lucky enough to get to share this journey not only with the horses, which is obviously our partner, but also an incredible group of people, whether it be the press in this room, the organizers, Shanette and her team at all the different events we go to, the judges, the officials. Marty and I have known each other maybe 30 years now, pretty closely. Plus our own mini teams and owners and supporters, and it's really it's a wonderful life. You know, I always say to young people, you know, the Olympics, that goal, that's the cherry on top. It's the life, it's the journey there that should be fulfilling, and I'm glad to hear that. And we just try to keep doing our job well, keep being a good ambassador for horse sports. Don't always have perfect moments, but we get up again tomorrow and try harder. So,
I'm not sure we'll ever find a better note to end our press conference on. On behalf of the Hampton Classic, we thank Douglas Elliman, we thank Longines. Michelle, fantastic job. That was a super exciting class. And Lucy, Shane, McLain, we congratulate you on a spectacular performance here today. Thank you.
You're watching the Hampton Classic Horse Show on WVVH-TV, Hamptons Television.